Do a quick burn down test here. Okay. So I had a little time to think about how I wanted to do the unit pointy clicky movie stuff, and I think I'm going to take a first refactoring pass on that tonight. So let's do that on a new branch. What I decided to do was remove the XY cell position from each unit individually, and instead use those coordinates as the keys in the map table at which the unit may be found. I think that will be the, I guess I'll say, simplest way to do this. Probably going to get this wrong a few times, but that's fine. Kind of hate the way that looks, even though I think it's probably computationally the best idea. The ergonomics are sort of terrible. But let's try it. If we hate it, we can just go back to the other branch, I guess. Yeah, I guess we'll go with that. So these are keyed as X coordinate, Y coordinate, and that'll be convenient, I think, because the cursor is, it always has that state attached to it. So checking to see if there's a unit at a cell will just be a matter of looking up in this table whether there's anything there. I'm still kind of inclined to merge this player 1 and player 2 thing. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't want to do that yet, I guess. I might change my mind on that. So that is... Well, let's check this last map. Oops. Yeah, it's empty. Okay. So that bit is approximately straightforward. And then we need to update... We need to update how... these are actually drawn to the map, because these properties on the object don't exist anymore. So these are now keys in the respective arrays or tables. I need to look up I pairs. Again, I'm not actually a Lua programmer. Or at least not a good one. Surely something somewhere is wrong, but let's see what we get. And right now, I'm not even drawing in player 2. So what do we do? That drew one flag at 1-1 only? What's that doing? That probably means probably means the iterator isn't working the way I think it's working. So I wanted that to draw at 1-1, 2-2, and 3-3, and it drew a single unit at 1-1. I wish there was a way to debug what this structure looks like, or just kind of dump the whole structure, because that's all I need to do is figure out how to unpack this guy. There may be one in Pick-a-Weight, but I don't know what it is. At a glance, it's not clear to me what I'm doing wrong. Game.map.units.p1. The units p1 x, if I'm not wrong, should be the index, which would leave a table of units indexed by the Y value for the cell. Yeah, it's not obvious where that's going wrong. It's also not obvious why there's nothing at all on map 2. Oh, hey, what's up, man? I think you are my first viewer in the history of ever. And you caught me at a moment where I have no clue what I'm doing here. How's it going today, man? What's new? Nice, nice. You doing some hacking yourself over there, or you off for the day? For the night. I guess it's nighttime, huh? Oh, that actually fixed it. Okay. So I was using I pairs and wanted pairs, but I guess the logic was right. Oh, right on, man. Man, you work long-ass days, don't you? So you want to see this this game I'm working on here? This is Pico 8. You probably heard of it. It's that like emulator for fantasy hardware that never existed, and it's probably computationally on par with like a Commodore 64 or something. What I'm trying to make is a tactics game, like a turn-based tactics game, you know, kind of sort of inspired by like Advance Wars or something, but with some interesting twists on it, I think. The first thing I'm doing, so, you know, in games like this, right, like these kind of GUIs are just like shiny spreadsheets, right? I mean, it's like, you know, in a game like Advance Wars, you have, you know, your infantry, your tanks, your airplanes, your whatever. And really, those are just kind of abstractions over a bunch of numbers in the background about like your attack power, your defensive power, blah, 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 your movement, speed, whatever. What I'm doing, I'm tentatively calling this game Balance of Power. And obviously, I'm aware everything visually looks like garbage right now. The gimmick I want to explore is what happens if we discard the idea of tanks and infantry and airplanes and instead expose that spreadsheet to the player and just be like, okay, you have, you know, 15 or 20 unit points per unit. You can allocate these stats how you want for each unit. Go fight them, right? So, like, because, like, you know, this is my first game. I don't know anything about game development, but I think it is a fair statement to say that game balance is hard. And, you know, I'm proactively lazy. So what I'm trying to do is move that game balance problem, like redefine that game balance problem out of existence by pushing it into the game space and making it the player's problem. I think that could be interesting. The other thing I'm trying to do is, in pretty much every turn-based tactical game I have played, with the exception of chess, if we want to consider chess a turn-based tactical game, it's always such that the player has, you know, every turn, the player is able to move every unit that they have. And while that's kind of enjoyable to play, I feel like that gives the human player like an overwhelming, insurmountable advantage over the CPU, because you can execute like your whole strategy in one go before the CPU even has time to react. If it can be broken in min-max and explorers, will do it. Yeah, that's for sure. And see, that's what I think. Like, I actually think this could be kind of fun, because I enjoy that kind of min-maxing and that, you know, tactical kind of screwing around with these numbers, and I think it could be fun to remove that abstraction of units. So I want to try that. And again, like I'm saying too, I want to make this thing such that I think I want to do this such that you can move one unit per turn, and it is like chess where I move a guy, you move a guy, I move a guy, you move a guy, because that way the first move advantage is very minimal. Diablo 3 has a concept of make players feel like they're breaking the game. So are you saying, I don't know Diablo 3 very well, I never played it, but are you saying just present players with enough opportunities to min-max so they can become crazy OP if they do it right? Is that what they're getting at? Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that would be a lot of fun, and I know a lot of people really just enjoy. Yeah, okay. I think a lot of people just really enjoy that kind of min-maxy kind of stuff. So I feel like this could be an interesting experiment here. The third kind of big idea I'm playing with is that I want this game to be hard as hell, even when you fight the CPU as an equal. So let's say you do 1,000 damage with combo where drops make you do 10 million. Okay, yeah. So just like really exploitable min-max strats available in the game. And I think that's what this will surface too, is that there's going to be kind of rotating metagame of kind of like a rock, paper, scissors thing among how you balance your units. I think. I don't know that, but that's what I want to play with. And then like I was saying too, like the other thing I want to play with is I want to design this game such that I almost want to design it algorithm first, like AI algorithm first. I want to make it such that I have a kind of quasi-mathematical verification or basis for the CPU's moves. And again, kind of more along the lines of chess there. I want to be able to refer to computational or algorithmic chess as a model when I'm building this. And the other thing, this is getting way ahead of myself here, but you know, I'm writing this guy in Lua and it runs in the Pikmin environment, but I'm writing the code such that I can run this on my host machine or in the Lua environment. And I kind of want to see if I can throw some like machine learning at this. I think it would be super, super cool if I could use machine learning to make two, you know, AIs battle each other just, you know, thousands of games a minute or whatever. Take the output of that and just drop that into the game and make that the AI. I don't know if that's possible. I'm way out of my depth, but that is an idea I've had, and this gives me a fun excuse to play with machine learning. Am I familiar with behavior trees? I'm not. So I might be, but again, I'm not a game programmer, so it's probably safe to assume that I am not. What's GOAP? Is this the actor model something? Yeah, goal-oriented programming. Is that what you're talking about? I've heard of this, but I've never used it, so I don't really know much about it at all. Yeah, this looks like an appropriate paradigm for sure. That might be the way I approach the problem. Because, you know, half the reason I'm kind of doing this game programming thing, other than just for fun, is it gives me an opportunity to learn new stuff and solve new problems that I don't usually get to solve in the systems or web programming worlds. So in your experience, are behavior trees are those like definitionally implemented via goal? This model, or is this one of the means to the ends of a behavior tree? I guess, more plainly, can you imperatively declare or, imperatively implement a behavior tree, or is it such that by definition behavior trees are implemented in the goal or GOP paradigm? Okay, so it's just a different way of doing things. Okay. I get you. Okay, yeah. I'll have to do some reading. But I could see... I could certainly see this being a valid approach to solving the problem. But anyway, that's what I'm hacking on here. That's kind of the big idea. The other big idea is to... this is less a game mechanic, but just like an inspiration, is I want to really, really like lean into the minimalism here. Because like what I have aesthetically does look like garbage, and I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. But I kind of want to lean into minimalism and like almost super flat or something. Because I think if I try to get too graphically ambitious, or really too ambitious at all, in the pick-away environment, it's going to fall apart. Which is kind of the charm of pick-away, is that you're forced down this kind of minimalist path. So, that's the other thing we're doing. I just finished a little refactoring that I was trying to do tonight, so I might dork around a little bit with some pixel art now. So with AI, especially in games where it's very fuzzy or lots going on, big goals to make them not look stupid first. Yeah, sure. And see, that's sort of what I'm saying here is like, I have gameplay mechanics in mind, but I'm very willing to actually design the gameplay mechanics around, like optimize the game mechanics for making it possible to write competent AI. Because what I would like would be for this game to be a challenge, even if you're equally matched in unit power with the CPU. Whereas my experience in most tactical games is that difficulty in a lot of tactical games comes from enemy spam. Like they just throw a ton of units at you and the AI is kind of stupid, but if there's enough of them, it can get hard. Helps a lot with real-time stuff. Yeah, what's your hint? Don't make the AI play fair. What do you mean play fair? Do you mean actually make them like mathematically overpowered, or what do you mean? They can see the map. Okay. So far, I haven't considered putting any fog of war in the game at all. So it would be a perfect knowledge game or whatever, where everyone knows the state of the map. I don't know if I'll stick with that decision, but that's the direction I'm leaning in, I think. I'm not strictly opposed to giving the CPU advantages over the player, but to the greatest extent possible, I would like to keep it a fair fight, simply because I think I would enjoy the programming challenge of trying to make the AI as competent as I could. Like, I would just find it very personally satisfying if I could make an AI where I fight it, one-on-one in a fair fight and lose to it. I think that would be cool. Sure, yeah. Yeah, if it comes to it, I'm not above using dirty tricks to make the game challenging too, because I recognize what I'm trying to do is difficult. If you make it perfectly fair, the player will perceive it as unfair. That's interesting. That makes sense. I hadn't considered that. I've probably experienced that as a player before, but I hadn't considered that. But yeah, that's what we're hacking on here. So far, when I've been working on this, all I've done is I've just been hacking out like plumbing. You know, like okay, we can move a cursor around, we can navigate among maps. I have a debug keycord to just cycle among maps and crap. And I think what I'll be working on for the next couple of days is actually moving units, and I'm going to do this in like a progressive way, where the first thing I want to do is just click on this unit, teleport them anywhere, and then next progression is click on a unit, animate it moving anywhere, and then the next progression, maybe final, maybe not, is then start to account for like movement range of the units and whether some terrain is more expensive to cross than others, like if there's going to be mountains or whatever in the game, that kind of thing. So I'm just sort of trudging through it now. Kind of infrastructure-wise, what I set up when I started this was a Docker container with the Lua toolchain installed, plus a Lua linter and a Lua formatter and a Lua unit test runner. So I haven't really leaned into unit testing yet, but I want that available because I think it's critical to be able to write unit tests. Yeah, I agree for sure. I'm really going to stick to this one. I have kind of a progression in my head. Maybe I'll make it all the way, maybe I won't. But what I want to do is create a cool little game that I enjoy in Pico 8. And then what I might do next is like, okay, make a sequel to it, but do it in like, I think it's like VIC 80 or something, which is the same kind of thing. It's like a fantasy emulator, but for like slightly more powerful hardware. I think that'd be kind of fun. Just keep like reinventing the same game, but go from, you know, increasingly powerful hardware. And the other thing I like about that is that, you know, when you start with the most minimalist environment first, the Pico 8, it forces you to concentrate on game mechanics and actually making the damn thing fun. Because like I see so many games these days that are like, you can tell they poured like millions, tens of millions of dollars into them, but like it's just not fun. And that you can't do that in Pico 8. Unit tests are amazing. Why are unit tests garbage for games in your experience? Is it just a matter of it's difficult to factor the code to make it testable in the first place? Is that what you're saying? Because I can definitely see how that would be the case. My plan so far is just to write my Lua code such that it is not intrinsically coupled with the game loop where possible, and where that's impossible, I just want to stub Lua methods. Yeah, in FPS. Yeah, so, you know, I won't be able to unit test everything for sure, but I think I'll be able to test at least some things, like an example that's on my mind, because it's probably coming up relatively soon, is, you know, the code that would verify that a player is moving a unit to a valid cell, right? So a cell that's not, you know, inaccessible due to terrain or out of range or that kind of thing. You know, there's logic like that I think I will be able to unit test, but I recognize that I might need to scaffold around the game loop in some way. I'm not sure. The other thing that makes this a little bit challenging is that, you know, in Pico 8, I'm working with Lua 5.2, and one, I'm not a Lua programmer, even though, you know, it's not that hard of a language. But two, the Pico Lua is a subset of real Lua 5.2. And for the most part, that doesn't matter. But what does kind of matter is that the native Lua module mechanisms are not supported. So I'm in this kind of awkward position where I'm not really sure how I'm going to have to write this code to make it portable from the Lua, like the native Lua and the pick-await environments. I might have to get clever and write a bunch of otherwise needless closures around methods or something to do it, because I think in the unit testing world in Lua, they just kind of expect to use the normal Lua module packaging mechanisms that the language provides, but they're not available to me. So that'll be a little bit of a challenge. Games are also very iterative in nature, and it's always changing. Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of stuff that I plainly will not be able to test, of course, like the AI, however implementing it. Like I can probably test its like components of its decision-making algorithm, but unless I go the full machine learning route, I of course won't be able to test its behavior in aggregate beyond just sitting down and playing the game, you know? Oh, and that's another thing too about this game that I think I've decided on. You know, back to pick-await, back to minimalism. I think I want this game to play fast. I think I want you to clear a map in 5 or 10 minutes or something. Because again, it seems like contrary to the medium to sit down at a pick-await console and expect to grind a level for 6 hours. Like, that just doesn't seem correct. So I think I'm going to go for like kind of an up-tempo pace. I think. So let's commit what I just did there, I guess. Take a look at this diff real quick. Try, see what works. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, this project, you know, like, it's just for fun, and there's nothing at stake, and I can work on it as long as I want, and there's no deadlines. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm just gonna grind on this, you know. Like, my typical evening these days is like I'll do work until I get off of work, then I'll do an hour or two of open source or whatever, and then it's like, you know, I'm not quite old enough to go to bed at 9, at least regularly. So then I'll figure I'll grind on a game for an hour or two, and you know, it's fun. It's been giving me an opportunity to like do some. I don't want to say close to the metal programming, because there is in fact no metal here and there never was. But it's nice working just in like a raw programming language. Because like, again, back to the web, you know, it's like you make a Hello World app in React or some shit, and it's always a situation where you got like 10 gigs of node modules and you don't know how anything actually works. I kind of hate that and really enjoy this, where it's like you're given a couple primitives to draw pixels and lines and circles, and then you got to build everything you want up from the ground. I just find that more challenging, more rewarding as a programmer to do that kind of work, you know. Yeah, right. Like, I understand that Lua is a scripting language, even though it can't compile. But yeah, when you compare it to React or something, which is up in the stratosphere, you know, Lua, it's not like I'm writing assembly, but at least I understand all of the code that is running. Where again, the web these days is just a complex nightmare of framework on framework on framework. Yeah. So what kind of work do you actually do? Are you're like server side, like game engine sharding kind of stuff, right? Like server side stuff, right? Not the actual rendering engine, not the actual client side code, but you're like an infrastructure guy. Is that right? And what are you working? Is it? Oh, both. I see. And are you primarily like C++ in your C and C++? Yeah, okay, sure. I'm just curious, has there been any uptake of Rust in the game world or not yet? I see these articles about what Rust is theoretically good for, but it seems like Rust has an adoption problem in real life, and I'm wondering if you've seen the same or what. None at all? Yeah, okay. Rust is like one of those languages that I wish I knew, and I wish I had a reason for knowing it. And I have like 2 or 3 projects that I could use it for, but for my kind of work, man, yeah, exactly, Go. Go is just a very pragmatic, excellent language. When I write basically anything greenfield these days, I go for Go. I'm really over Node. I think the JavaScript ecosystem is kind of, I think they've all gone crazy, and PHP is like way past its prime. And I never liked Rails. I never liked Ruby. I never liked Python. So yeah, for me, it's like Go solves basically every problem that I solve in my day job and personal open source stuff. It's pretty much just the best for every problem I would like to solve, I think. Excluding, there's like some very niche applications I do have for Rust, and I am pretty interested in Rust compiling to WASM. I think that is pretty interesting. Go and Rust both. Yeah, I've used Redis, but it's been a long time. But yeah, I remember Redis felt very straightforward to use. Like I didn't feel like there was a learning curve to it, at least for solving basic problems, which is all I ever did with it. And I appreciate that. Likewise, Go. You know, I found it took me 2 or 3 weeks of working with Go, and like really 2 or 3 days to get where I was productive, and then 2 or 3 weeks, and I felt pretty comfortable with it. So I appreciate that in a language. I appreciate that the language Go, the language, is intentionally very small. Quick and focused on what it does. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Go. It's my favorite and my daily driver when I have a choice. Something else I want to do. Yeah, cool, man. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. I'll chat with you in Discord. Yeah, man. Have a good night. So now we have our units associated with your maps and tracked in nested tables keyed by X then Y. So the next thing we're going to want to do is create a mechanism for recording which unit we have, or which unit a player has selected. And it's probably sensible to record that information on the cursor table because we can use the cursor's XY to key directly into our map units table. It would be something like this. We don't actually want 0, 0 though, because that's a coordinate. I guess we can just do, is it null or nil? What is it, nil? I guess we can do that. And I guess we gotta actually give some thought to how we want the game controls to actually work. Seems maybe like A should be confirm and B should be cancel. I mean, I guess that's fairly common. So need to look up what these button indices are here. Let's see. Four. I need to read a little bit about Lua before I implement that. The last thing I'll probably implement tonight, though, is we should probably add selected unit information to our debugger here. I think that'll be worth it. Put her there, I guess. Okay, cool. All right. So we don't have a way to actually set that value yet, but we don't care. Let's do this. Just pretend to set it. So if button 4 is pressed, which is Z, let's say cool. Okay. So that works. And now I wonder if there's just a nil check. Let's see if this is it. We can try if game.map.units.p1 is not nil, not nil. Maybe. Then expected near not. Oh. I guess we can do that. Okay, I probably need to do this. Hey. That works. Okay, cool. And I guess we want an unselect, probably. I mean, so I click on a non-unit and nothing happens, and I click on a unit and it is registered as selected, and I click on a non-unit and it is unselected. Now really the logic needs to get more complicated because we need to actually move the thing or make the distinction between friendly unit and enemy unit. And, you know, we'll do different things depending on the specifics. Yeah, and we're going to need that to become more sophisticated. Well, that's a reasonable first stab at the problem. Really, now we're almost at a point of, you know, again, game design rather than technical plumbing. That's the plumbing. Now we just need to figure out what we actually want the game to do. And then soon we'll be at the point where we want to implement movement and attack radii. I think that'll probably be the most challenging part of the project, is my guess. But before that, we probably do want to do movement and stuff like we had planned before. So now we can select a unit. Next, I guess, we want to move them. Cancel selection. Really, this should probably go... I don't know, I need to think about it. This probably goes... This probably becomes a different button. Probably. But I'll probably wrap it up there so I can actually think about this a little bit. Excuse me. But that was pretty productive. Let's take a look at this diff. Make sure it looks sane. I think it does. right. Eh. That was all garbage anyway. Another idea for pixel art. Next time we give that a shot, which might be tomorrow or the next day or so. Make sure we're clean. Let's do one last burn down test. Make sure we didn't regress with our clip out of bounds bug, but we did not. That looks good. Oh, I found something actually. If you hit diagonals, you can clip out of bounds, or off screen anyway. That's interesting. I'll have to figure that out. Okay, so got a bug to fix, but nothing is more broken than it has been this whole time. So we'll call that good enough. Okay, that's it for tonight. Thanks for hanging out, guys. See you next time.